Okay, welcome back to my channel, guys. It is part 3 of the 3-part series, shooting your personal best score. Today we are talking about breaking 80. Now, I talked quickly in my first couple of videos about kind of my history playing golf. I started playing golf my freshman year of high school, was absolutely terrible. My scoring average my freshman year was 112, okay? So the first time I broke 100 was kind of late summer of that 2013 year that I started playing golf. So it took me about 4 months to break 100. Breaking 90 came pretty quickly after that. That came, I would say, it was probably roughly in March of the next year. So roughly about a year after I started playing golf, I broke 90 for the first time. However, breaking 80 was completely different. That took me quite a bit of time. I didn't break 80 till I believe it was like late April of my junior year of high school, which would have been 2015. So I would say it was about 2.25 years since I started playing golf that I ended up breaking 80, which doesn't seem like a long time, but for me, with the amount of time and work I was practicing and playing, it really felt like a long time between breaking 90 and breaking 80. And it happened so many times where I was just right there on the verge. All I needed was a par on 18. All I needed was to bogey 17 and 18, and I just could not simply do it. I was always shooting 38 42s, 41 39s. I'd go out and shoot a 37 on the front nine. I'd always follow it up with a 43 or 44 in the back. I could not keep my composure long enough to break 80. Simply, I didn't know how to break 80. I had the skill to do it. I just really didn't know what it took to break 80 on a golf course, and that's what I'm talking about today. So during that year-long time period where I just simply could not break 80, I really learned some things about myself and about the game of golf in general that really helped me. Once I broke through that 80 mark, I realized how easy it was, and I took a step back and been like, you know, if I had just done these things from the beginning, I had what it took to break 80 a long time before that. I just didn't know how to execute it on a golf course. The first thing I learned about breaking 80 is that it does not have to be a birdie fest. I really thought that the difference between breaking 90 and breaking 80 is you just make a lot of birdies. You really don't even have to make one birdie to break 80. You can make 18 pars and break 80. You can make 16 pars and break 80. You know what I'm saying? You can make 11 pars and make 7 bogeys, and you're still breaking that 80 mark. Once I realized that I could make 7 bogeys a round and only 11 pars and no birdies if that's how my round went and still break 80, I was like, how am I not doing this every single time? And what I realized is I was letting too many big numbers on the scorecards. I was letting that 1 triple a round influence my round. I was letting those 2 double bogeys I was making on the long par 3s trouble my round. So the first thing I realized is to be able to break 80, you have to be very good at turning those double bogeys into bogeys and the holes that should be bogeys into pars. I'm a really big believer in learning how to turn bogeys into pars and doubles into bogeys. Once you can figure out how to not have your best stuff but end up turning into a decent score, you really figure out what golf's about. Once I realized that I could hit bad shots, that I could have bad holes, but all it take was 1 good chip or 1 good putt and I could salvage a bogey or I could salvage a par, even though I might not deserved it how I played the hole, it really changed my whole outlook. So even if I was out of position off the tee or whatever that may be, I was like, you know what, I could still hit 1 good shot and that's gonna get me back in the game, even though I may not deserve to make the par or deserve to make the bogey, or it may look like I'm gonna make bogey or double. All it takes is 1 good shot and 1 putt and I'm back in it. The next thing I realized is you don't have to be a crazy good ball striker to be able to break 80. I really thought that that was the main thing that was keeping me away from breaking 80, but it really wasn't. It was really the fact that I could not get up and down when I needed to. You can be the best ball striker in the world, but if you're still 3-putting every single hole, it's not gonna matter. You do not have to be the best ball striker. You're going to miss golf shots. The important thing though is when you miss those golf shots, you miss it in the right parts. That is a big thing I learned on my way to learning how to break 80, is missing in the right spots. A lot of the difference between breaking 90 and breaking 80 is where you're missing the golf ball. When you're playing a golf hole, someone who has the capability of breaking 80, you're looking at that golf hole and saying, you know what, I'm not perfect, I'm probably gonna hit a shot here or there. Where's the best spot that I can miss it and still get up and down? And I still think like that today because I know I'm not gonna hit every shot perfect. Now, do I wanna hit every shot perfect? Absolutely. But if I see a front left pin per se, I do not wanna miss it short left. So I'm not gonna take less club and aim right at the pin. Okay, I'm gonna take probably a little bit more club and I aim at the right side of the green. So if I miss it left, I'm right at the pin. If I hit it straight, I'm on the green, still the right side. And if I miss it right, I have a lot more green to work with than if I short-sighted myself to the left. So that was the big thing I realized in order to break 100 is you have to leave yourself with better misses so that you put yourself in a better position to get up and down. The next thing I learned about how to break 80 is not to go after every flag, but the fact that you still need to go after some flags. That was kind of what I realized with breaking 90, is that I should stop going after every flag. However, it was also keeping me from breaking 80 once I learned how to break 90 because I wasn't having a lot of good looks at birdie. I wasn't going after any flags whatsoever, and I was having long 30 to 40 foot birdie putts, and there just wasn't makeable putts. That's when I realized when your skill gets to a level that you're more capable of hitting a lot more consistent golf shots, it's okay to go after some pins. You just need to pick and choose what those pins are. So if I felt really comfortable at a hole, I knew I could miss it kind of in more places than I usually can on a hole, I'm gonna go after that pin. If I feel comfortable over the shot, I'm gonna go after the pin. If I didn't feel super comfortable over shot, if there were some places that I really couldn't miss on the green, if it was kind of more dangerous shot, I was gonna play more to the middle of the green, just make my par and get on to the next hole. So really being able to figure out on these holes, shot to shot basis, do I feel comfortable going after the flag? Should I go after the flag? Should I always go after the flag? Kind of figuring out those questions about picking and choosing holes and shots on whether to be aggressive or not really helped me give more opportunities for birdie and also less opportunities to make bogey or double. The next thing I learned in order to break 80 was to develop a fairway finder. Now when I mean fairway finder, I mean whatever club, whatever shot shape, whatever shot you're trying to hit that you can go to time after time to hit it down the fairway, to keep the ball in play. Now it still may be driver for you, but it may be a sawed-off driver. It may be a teed it low, kind of hit a little cut. It doesn't have to be your full out driver swing. Whatever club that you feel comfortable, whatever shot shape that you feel comfortable, that you know no matter how tight of a golf hole it's gonna be, that you can keep it on God's green grass is gonna be huge for breaking 80. Because one of the biggest mistakes you can make if you're trying to break 80 is incurring those penalty strokes. So if you're constantly hitting balls out of bounds or into water hazards or into bunkers, whatever that may be, that's going to be almost impossible to be shooting good scores because you're constantly putting bogeys, doubles, triples on the scorecard. You need to keep the ball in play. You need to figure out a fairway finder where you're confident, even on your worst days, I can keep the ball on the golf course, I can make pars, I can make bogeys by just keeping the ball on grass. Now that doesn't mean you can never go full out on a driver or take advantage of shorter holes or anything like that. It's just picking and choosing. There are holes where you should just not full out swing your driver. There's holes where you just simply can't. You need a fairway finder that you can just step up, comfortably swing it, get it into the fairway, get it into the rough, whatever. Just keep it in play, get it out there, make your par, walk on to the next hole. The next thing I learned that you need to do in order to break 80 is you need to become an assassin with a wedge. Wedge shots are the key to breaking 80. Being a good wedge player is really the difference between salvaging pars and making stupid doubles. Because let's say I hit a good drive down the middle and I chunk my 7-iron, I still got 50 yards left to the green. If I'm a good wedge player, I'm still confident I get that up and down. I hit a good wedge shot to 3 feet, tap it in, get my par, get out of there. If I'm a terrible wedge player, I don't feel comfortable, maybe I chunk it again, or I skull it, or I hit it to 30 feet and then I 3-putt, setting myself up for a bogey or a double, when really if I just got really confident, really good at hitting a wedge, or hit a lob wedge, hit a sand wedge, get really comfortable with wedges in my hands, I feel comfortable about going after flags, putting balls in there close, setting myself up for better positions to make putts. Being a good wedge player is all about setting yourself up for success. Being a good wedge player versus an average wedge player means having a 10-foot putt for par rather than a 20-foot putt for par, or a 6-foot putt for birdie rather than a 15-foot putt for birdie. It's all about statistics. The closer you are putting the ball to the hole, the more likely you are going to make putts. That's why I'll never understand when people are trying to get better and they're just pounding driver on their driving range all day, or they're pounding 3-wood or long irons. You have to learn to dial in wedges, because you are going to have so many more wedges on a golf course than you realize. So many golf shots, whether that be your third shots after you missed a green, or your second shots because you hit a good driver, you're gonna have a lot of wedges in your hand, and it's important to feel very, very comfortable with a wedge in your hand, because if you don't, you're missing all your scoring opportunities. Now lastly, the key to breaking 80 is you need to become almost automatic from inside 5 feet. If you're wanting to break 80, you really just can't miss putts inside 5 feet. Obviously we're human, we're gonna miss some putts here and there, but you have to have the confidence that I'm going to make every single putt inside 5 feet. If you really paid attention to it, you'd be amazed how many putts you have inside that 5-foot, 6-foot radius that are important putts. Par putts, bogey putts, putts that keep a round going and help keep big numbers off your scorecard. You do not have to be the longest hitter of the golf ball. You do not have to be the best ball striker. But if you're a great putter inside of 5 feet, you're going to score well 9 times out of 10. So go to that practice green and get solid within 5 feet. It's all about confidence. So if you're looking to get better at it, I would recommend looking up some drills. There are so many drills out there, whether that be on the internet or YouTube or whatever it so may be, People have drills. There are so many putting drills out there that are useful for a multitude of different reasons, but really one of the reasons I like doing drills is it switches things up for me, doesn't let me get too bored about doing one thing, and it keeps my mind fresh, just like on the golf course, because we're never going to see the same putt over and over again on the golf course. And doing drills that you're seeing different putts here and there instead of just standing at 4 feet and whacking 100 balls in the hole, that's not really going to do anything for you. It's going to help you see the ball go in the hole, which is good. Hopefully it's going in the hole, but it's really not giving you the confidence of hitting a bunch of different style of putts, which you're going to see on the golf course. Once you get confident with hitting putts inside 5 feet, you're going to be amazed about how fast your scores are dropping. So again, just to review what I was saying about breaking 80, rule number 1, you have to realize it doesn't have to be a birdie fest. Even the PGA Tour averages 3 to 4 birdies a round. It's not a huge number. You do not have to be making 5, 6 birdies a round to be breaking 80. 1 to 2 should be enough as long as you're keeping doubles and triples off your scorecard. Tip number 2 is you do not have to be a crazy ball striker. It's important that you have skills and be able to get the ball around a golf course, but don't think you have to be this Colin Morikawa, Tiger Woods-esque ball striker. You just need to be consistent, you need to miss in the right spaces, and you need to be a good wedge player. Number 3, pick and choose what flags you go after. You don't have to aim away from every flag, but you also don't have to go for every flag. Pick and choose, depending on the hole, what kind of shots you can be aggressive with, what kind of shots you should be a little bit more conservative with. Thinking on a golf course like that about every single shot is really going to help you. Tip number 4, always think about where you're going to miss it. More often or not, we're not going to hit a perfect golf shot. We're going to miss golf shots, and that's okay, but it's about where you miss it. Golf is 100% a game of misses, so miss it in the right spot. The next tip I had was to develop a fairway finder. Remember, it can still be a driver, whatever club you feel comfortable with, whatever shot shape you feel comfortable with, whatever tee height you feel comfortable with. It doesn't have to be a full-out swing. Whatever club, type of swing you want to swing, that you feel comfortable, you know where the ball is going to go, and you're going to keep it on the ground. The next tip was to become a legend with a wedge in your hands. You have to be able to get the ball close to the pin. You can't have a wedge in your hand and be having 50-foot putts or missing greens or doing all this. If you have a wedge in your hands, you need to be sticking it. You need to be sticking it close. Hit a driving range. Don't just be pounding drivers out there all day. Get a bucket of 60 balls, grab your 60-degree wedge, grab your 54-degree wedge, whatever you got, and just find a pull out there, hit 60 balls to it. Hit 60 balls to it, and then pick 10 yards less. Hit 60 balls to that. Figure out what it takes to get certain distances with your clubs, and you'll be amazed how many shorter putts you're going to have. And my last tip was you got to make your putts inside 5 feet. It's so important that once you're inside that little circle radius, you are making putts. Inside of 5 feet, if you're making putts, that means you're going to be turning those holes that should have been a bogey maybe into a par, that should have been a double into a bogey. Making those 5-foot putts is going to save your round. But yeah, that's the end of part 3, final part of this series, breaking 80. Talked about breaking 100, talked about breaking 90, talked about breaking 80. Hopefully one of those videos helped you out. And again, maybe not everything I said you should take into account. I don't know each person's games individually. I was just more talking in a whole sense. But if 1 or 2 things you feel can really help out your game, I definitely encourage you to go work on it. Let me know how that goes. If you like this video, go ahead and like it. Make sure to subscribe. Lots of content coming out soon. Heading to Arizona this week for a little golf buddies trip. Definitely a few videos gonna be coming out from there. A lot of cool stuff coming in the future, so I'm excited for that. Make sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next video. Peace out.